So Prop 314, Analise Ortiz, the Democrat, and John Kavanagh, the Republican, debate 314. Now, what did people get from this? It's a great question. John Kavanagh, the Republican, former police officer in New York City. This is Kavanagh talking about the problem at hand.
They can't go to the legal border crossing where they would be interviewed and given status to enter. Instead, these people sneak in between the borders.
Now, the other side talks about this law being a distraction.
Prop 314 is nothing more than a cheap political distraction from what we actually need to do on the federal level.
Now, I don't agree with her in principle on this, but there are some things that she said that I really disagree with. Here's one of them.
It would target anyone who is crossing the border or who's even been here for decades and could cause them to be arrested, detained, and potentially deported.
It's just not true. That's factually inaccurate. And the idea, here's the problem I have with this, with that statement and with that principle. The law is written in a way that you would have to actually have evidence that they crossed illegally. You have to witness it. If you are a border sheriff, there's most of the state it doesn't even affect. If you are local law enforcement on the border, if you're a DPS officer that's working on the border, if you are a sheriff's deputy working on the border, and you witness people cross into this country outside of a port of entry, this law gives you the ability to arrest them. Now, it sounds stupid that you would need to have that ability because it's a crime. It doesn't force them to do it. It doesn't mandate that they do it. It gives them the ability to do it. But the factually inaccurate part of this is the abuse of power part of this. All of a sudden, unless we restrict police officers, they're going to abuse their power. So we've got to limit what they can do. Here's the other part. This is going to go after children.
There is nothing in the policy that says it would only apply to adults. We will see children in cages.
It is an emotional, ridiculous argument she's making. We're going to see kids in cages. I'm going to tell you, we had kids in cages in the Obama administration. I saw them with my own eyes. I saw it. I was there in McAllen, Texas. I saw it. The fact of the matter is we have children that have crossed into this country, unaccompanied minors that have come into this country, and over 100,000 of them, we don't know where they are. What does Miss Ortiz plan to do about that? I don't like the fact that Arizona even needs to contemplate this law. If the federal government was doing its job, states would not be doing this. Let's start there. Let's start with the fact that the federal government is not doing its job. Kavanagh says that this law will make us safer.
The people who go in between the border are people who, if they presented at the Border Patrol station, would be rejected because of their criminal records. They're on the terrorist watch list.
And what about the fentanyl smuggling?
Any amount of fentanyl going in between the borders has to be stopped. It's killing our children.
Okay. Miss Ortiz, faith leaders don't want this.
I prayed with faith leaders outside of the state Senate just a few months ago, asking, do not do this to our communities.
What about the faith leaders that do? What are they? I look at this. I don't like this. I don't like the negative connotation about immigration. I think that we need to have an immigration system we can be proud of as a country. We are in a border state. The federal government has let us down on every level for a generation, for more than a generation. And so Texas is doing something about it. It's being challenged in federal court. But isn't it not, pick another crime. Pick anything else. Shoplifting. Pick one. I don't care what it is, big or small. Misdemeanor or felony. You pick another crime where you think only this law enforcement agency should be able to do something about it. What if you got pulled over? I want you to think about this. What if you had somebody cut you off in traffic, they're driving like a maniac, and you're on 24th Street in town, and a DPS trooper pulls that person over for driving like a maniac? Should they be allowed to write them a ticket because it's not the freeway? Or should local law enforcement, should Scottsdale PD be allowed to pull you over for breaking the law on the freeway? You're not DPS. This isn't where you're supposed to be. We don't do this anywhere, really. If you think about this, cops are cops and should be able to enforce the law. If you are a sheriff's deputy on the border in Cochise County and you see 4 people circumvent the fencing and they go in through an area that is not a port of entry and they walk across the border, you mean to tell me that you shouldn't have the ability to stop them and find out what they're doing? That you shouldn't be able to take them into custody? I mean, does that make any sense to anyone? And there's a group of people that, for whatever reason, want to twist things around and make it seem like this is a racist, It's not any of those things. This is the problem. You can disagree with me. I know that she disagrees with me. She disagrees with Kavanagh. But the insinuation that we don't want what's best, that we're racist or what. No, we're not. We're fed up. I am the biggest immigration advocate in this town on the airwaves. I advocate for legal immigration every day when we talk about the border. Every day. We need a thriving, robust legal immigration system that every one of us can be proud of. That needs to happen. But the idea that the people that are against illegal immigration are racist or xenophobic or all these other things is a nonsensical, emotional argument that does nothing about the problem of fentanyl and human smuggling and college football players making money. Well, long before that story became a story because they were college football players, there's 14 and 15 and 16-year-old kids, your kids, that are being enticed by thousands of dollars to join the cartels and bring people illegally up to the valley from the border. And you mean local law enforcement shouldn't be able to stop that from happening? It's just it's frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.